Welcome to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two best friends recap romance novels while Googling dinosaurs and theorizing erroneously. Hey HBs, we've got a treat for you this week. Before we get to that though, I need to tell you what's happening on the bonus feeds. On Friday, you get Sabrina and I recapping the first book in this series, Eternal Pleasure. You get to hear all about Ty and Kelly with a whole bunch of werewolf shenanigans. And Sabrina figures out that her calling was actually to be a driver, and she missed it. It's okay. That's on Patreon and our Apple Podcast feeds. I've also got some wonderful patrons to shout out. Our Patreon community is so lively and hilarious, and they're what make the podcast possible. We are so thankful to them. So hello, you sexy pterodactyls, you. Thank you so much to Allison K, Kara D, J. Hunes Vinyl, Nayantara G, K H, Rachel H, and W. Thank you for being part of the Patreon community, and I can't wait for all the stuff we're doing this month, including but not limited to our watch party. Now, we've got a special guest joining us to talk all about sexy dinosaurs, okay? And preventing world domination apocalypse times. Here's part one of our recap of Eternal Craving by Nina Bangs. Hello, everyone. We have a special guest today.
We do. Hi, Margaret.
Yeah.
Hi.
Margaret's here.
So
Margaret won the auction for Romancing the Vote. ? Romancing for Democracy. Romance Does Democracy, I think is what it was called.
Well, it's gone through a couple
Right?
of different names over the years.
Yeah, it has
yeah.
changed iteration over the years.
Yeah. But we're so excited because she chose Dinosaur Shifters, and I'm very excited about it. This is also the second time we've recorded because we had some schmechnical difficulties in the first one. So we recorded the first book already together, and then we were like, we don't want to do that again. That sounds silly. So instead, we're giving you the second book in the series.
And I'm actually super delighted because I just hadn't gotten around to reading the
Same.
second book. I don't think I would have gotten around to reading it this fast if not for having impetus to do it.
Yeah.
And I opened up this book and jumped back into this bananas world and remembered oh, I really liked this late 2000 knots paranormal dinosaur romance.
Totally. When I was doing the outro for last week, I have rough notes that I read from or whatever when I do those. And out of nowhere, it was as if I was a Quaker at church and the spirit came over me and I started speaking. I was just it's Dinosaur Shifters and it's everything we deserve.
It's amazing. I keep equating them to both in a good way and a bad way to kitchen sink, because if you think they've put in a ton of paranormal stuff plus dinosaurs in it, then you get further in the series and then you're there's yet more things and species that just keep coming out of the woodwork. So it's everybody.
I believe it.
Well,
yeah.
and this was a confusing one because all over the internet, it's very unclear. Until you go to the author's website, it's very unclear what the second book is. A lot of places think that Eternal Shadows is the second version, a version of the second book. So I messed up putting on the calendar what we were going to be.
Y'all, this recording has been cursed.
Yeah,
So,
no, I think I broke
this
like
is
8 mirrors or something.
The sixth thing.
Yeah, no, totally.
All of us. Yeah, this is the universe saying, like, we're getting you back for something. We're not sure what
Yeah,
that is.
totally. And it's going to be revenge with dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah. So when Sabrina made the calendar invite, it was for Eternal Shadows. And so poor Margaret read Eternal Shadows, which is the 4th book. But she's read this one before. And so we're confident that this is going to be great. And then you told us you're going to tell us some spoilery things at the end of this
'cause,
episode.
Yeah, the
right?
deal with this series, and we'll get into it when we do more about like this book, but she wrote 3. They were traditionally published. Then I guess it didn't take off. So for like 10 years, she had a break. So this Eternal Shadows, she self-published it like a year or so ago. And so it's her way to sort of sum up the series. Because instead of getting 11
nice.
books, you get like 3 and then her self-pub book that kind of gives you like at least a conclusion. So then we'll finally be able to find out what Finn is or what the
neat.
Dino guys originally were. So it does wrap it up enough. So at least you don't feel like you're hanging with the first 3 books forever.
Okay.
Which I thought was nice of her. So
Nice. My guess so far was that Finn is Lucifer and the boys are all Titans or something like before that. But I know I'm wrong. But I'm just telling you that was my guess as I was reading the first
totally.
and second books.
And I will tell you what they are after everything. But yeah, at least everybody has a guess.
Yeah.
So I didn't put this together until reading this book. I don't think I put it together last time. But I now, after reading this book, have the idea that 0 and infinity are 2 sides of the same coin because mathematically
Ooh.
they essentially are.
Ooh.
Is that, am I
That's
even?
just an interesting theory. And you're warmer. Yeah, you're warm.
Yeah, so I registered that this read through where they were talking just so much about numbers all over again. And like, I had forgotten in the first book just how important like the number 9 had been, like all the, and so I started like really looking at things number wise, and I was like,
yeah, it's like there's numerology, but almost her own made up idea of numbers.
Yes, that is very much accurate.
Yeah. And Finn's the only one who doesn't have a dinosaur name.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do a quick recap of like the premise / what happened in book 1, and then we can jump into book. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we are in a world. It is 2011. And like in the last book, we got to see like this spirit rise from the primordial ooze or whatever. And then its voice overlord gave it all the information it needed to like be a person in the world in 2011. Because it turns out Finn, who we were just talking about, Finn is short for infinity. And he has brought 10 dinosaurs. Like he stored their souls away when they were dinosaurs, and now he's bringing them back because they have to fight otherworldly forces that are immortal, and they only get to come back to Earth once every like 65 million years ? It's like a cycle of time, and this is based on the Mayan calendar that said that the world would end on December 11th of 2012.
December 21st of 2012.
December 21st.
At
Thank you.
11:11.
Yeah.
And also, like, what a simpler time.
What a simpler time.
Right?
For sure.
I would love for the Mayan apocalypse to be the only thing that I was concerned about right now.
And everybody in 2011 was like half joking, but they're like, this might happen. And I'm like, you know what? It might have gone better that way. I don't know. Right?
Who knows?
Maybe we needed that reset.
Right?
Maybe they shouldn't have won these dinosaurs. So that's the deal. They got raised in 2011 and they have 1 year to defeat all of these 10 immortal guys who are here to kill all humans and then create chaos and anarchy so that the dominant, like a new dominant species will come forth and like change the course of history. And if they don't defeat those 10 bros, then that's what happens. All humans die, and the immortals who are on Earth are the ones who are going to like come forth, and then, you know, they'll end up fighting each other because all of their food sources are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't super well thought out on the more like on the supernatural side of things, as far not like as far as the book, but as far as like being a supernatural creature in this world, an evil one anyway that wants to eat all the humans. They're like, yeah, we're totally on board with taking over
Wiping
and
them out.
wiping them out.
And they don't think of the step next.
Well, yeah, like all three of us are like, so like what happens after you burn all the crops?
Yeah, like after you eat through the first round of people you shred in the apocalypse, what are you going to eat? Like a lot of the supernatural like henchmen people who are just kind of signing on because power or whatever, they're not thinking it through. Eventually they're going to starve too, which is kind of the Immortals' overall plan is like, we'll just raise it all and pick like, I don't know, cockroaches will be the new dominant species or whatever, but they don't really care if everybody kind of zero-sum games and destroys each other.
Yeah, the Immortals are fine with it. Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie, it hit a little close whenever they talk about these things where it's like very clearly the very top of the top is these Immortals and they don't actually care. Like they get everybody on their side, but then they're like, they don't actually care what happens. You're literally just a tool. I was like, that's a little poignant.
That hits close to home, right? In these times.
Yeah, it does.
In this timeline. Interesting. Yeah, so last book they dealt with 8 because Finn has given all of them numbers for names because we don't know their names. So they defeated 8 in Houston with Kelly. It's like a game of Clue. With Kelly, the human, who then married Ty, the Tyrannosaurus Rex soul.
Because of course you'd name your guy Ty.
Yeah, you gotta.
It makes sense.
I mean, I don't know. Rex would have also been a perfectly good.
Yes. No, Rex would have been excellent.
But that's like a dog name. Then he's like, I know what Rex is king and all that in Latin, but it's like, then he'd feel like he would need like a little dog collar or something.
The thought of trying to put a dog collar. Actually, no, Ty might be into it.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
I know. I was just about to say, maybe.
I don't know that Ty would say. I don't know that Ty would say no if Kelly came in and was like, "Hey, babe, I want to try something."
No, I get the feeling that once they do get their mates, they're just like, do whatever they say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As they should.
True.
Okay. So we get to meet all of these guys have names that are based on what their creature is. Some of them like their names more than others.
Mm-hmm.
We last book we met one of them who was like, "You can't call me that," and Finn was like,
"It was a Quetzalcoatl,"
sure
so he wanted to say like Quest or something like that. And he was like, "No, you'll call me Q."
Wow, that was really sexy. You just whipped that out. Like,
I don't know if it's correct.
No, it's basically true. Yeah,
but
like,
it's close.
It's like, I don't like being Quetz. I'm Q. I'm like, does it really matter?
Great.
It's a shortening of your dino name. Just go with it, guy.
Yeah. No, he won't. So he's Q.
Yeah.
It was great.
And so we open up with Al, and Al is an Allosaurus, and we open up with him in his little super soul monster dino form, and he is like, I don't think I want to go back to being human, actually. I think I kind of like just being like I am right now. I could just
being
stay
all
like
instinct.
this. And Finn's like, no, bad, sit, stay.
Yeah, he snoot boops him right in his brain parts.
He does snoop boop his brain.
It kind of is, because he's like this amazing telepath.
And then the rest of the guys are like, hey, they're all trying to corral him, like, put your soul back, get your soul away, come on, man. And he does, but his dominant issue that he always deals with is a huge amount of rage that he can't really explain, and especially directed toward Finn.
I did not see that coming, by the way.
I don't think I understood what happened, but I only listened to the end part once, and so we'll get to it when we get to it. But I was like, so he took your soul? ? Like, didn't he do that to everybody?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I don't know.
The other 9 guys
doesn't matter.
So it doesn't make you special compared to the other guys.
Oh,
yeah. So now we're in Philly. They because they made the Astrodome go into the bowels of hell. So they had to spend December cleaning up Houston a tiny bit, it says. And then after that, they just shipped on over to Philadelphia because that's where 8 is.
There was a comment in this book at one point where one of the guys was like, man, Finn really is hell on a local landmark. And I was cackling because I've officially decided after reading 2 books, one of my greatest tragedies in life is that I didn't get every single book in this series as planned. Because I would just love to see them rampaging across the U.S. probably and just
Totally.
take it out locally.
Well, there's only 4 of them. I
Uh-huh.
can't remember because the third one takes place in Oregon. So I guess they do something to one of the Portland landmarks, but I can't remember which one. But I can confirm the final book. They wreck this
What about
fancy
this?
haunted house called the Whaley House in San Diego because it's where their final stand is. So yeah, they definitely continue their tradition of like effing
Ooh.
up like different marquee places. But I think the Astrodome's pretty much the most obvious.
Yeah,
one.
just slurping it into the
Yeah, like,
ether.
oh no, this big stadium we're all obsessed with is just
yeah.
gone. Weird. Super low profile, guys.
Yeah, it was just a really localized earthquake, everyone. It's fine.
That closed up afterwards.
The, you know,
too,
the
don't
kind that
forget.
Houston
Yeah.
has.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
So maybe it was just a giant sinkhole. You
That
know,
I would believe. They
had
have
to
terrible
explain it
highways in
somehow.
Houston. I can believe that.
Don't even play with that.
Yeah.
Sinkholes scare the shit out of
I'm
me.
not playing. I was being very serious.
No,
That's,
stop
you know.
it.
Oh no, I won't be serious about sinkholes. Let's. Anyway, so now we're in Philadelphia, and Kelly's sister Jenna shows up. And we met Jenna last book, but like, you know, she was just like the sister who was like, I'm sorry, sis, the fuck is going on? And Kelly wouldn't tell her. And so she is a tabloid reporter. She does like, the aliens are back and they're here to take your cats. Those kind of articles.
Although this time would fit her thing. So, I mean, this is right up her alley. She's actually
It
kind of right this time.
totally would.
Although she spends the first book being like, they're vampires. And I'm like, but yeah, finally you can be like, dinosaurs are saving the
You're not-
world. I'm like, what's fit in your paper?
It would, but nobody would believe her. So it's the best article she's
Is
ever
she
been
under
handed.
the impression people believe her otherwise, Melody? Is that
I
what
was
you're
wondering that
implying?
as
I mean,
well.
her tabloid is basically not the Weekly World News, but it is. Like, she's basically on Bat Boy duty. Like, that's basically, like, her job, and it's nowhere near
Yes.
real journalism in any way. But yeah, it's like Bat Boy, or like a mummy came back from the dead, or whatever sounds good to, like, sell your tabloid
Right.
at your grocery store. That's, like, literally it.
Yeah.
Is life simpler as somebody who looks at those tabloids and goes, this tracks?
Maybe. I guess they're kind of the forerunner to internet message board conspiracy theorists, but they seem like then it becomes their whole life, and then they have probably one of those pushpin boards with yarn in their room, so then that could get a lot of time investment.
I feel like life is harder.
Yeah, I think so too. Because then everything's a sign.
And then you've got the added frustration is nobody's listening.
yeah, totally.
This is true. You know, I think you're right because I actively avoid conspiracy theories because I know that I'm susceptible. I would be like, I'm somebody who is susceptible to them. And so I do avoid them because like that does seem like it's just a lot of work. It's a lot
It
of work to
is.
keep up on all of the
No,
things that lead to
exactly.
that
I'm like, that's
conspiracy
too
being
much.
accurate, and I just I don't have the time, you know.
And I can hyperfixate on healthier things, you know, like gardening or puzzles.
Yeah.
my
Yes.
hyperfixations can go elsewhere. So anyway, Jenna shows up and she's like, I live here now unless my sister wants to come home with me. And Kelly's like, am married, so I'm not gonna leave my husband.
Who's a dinosaur, but she's not going to say that yet. It's just to hide it.
Right. And the line that they've been telling everyone is that they are missionaries who are trying to save souls at night.
I'd forgotten
I mean, well,
that.
technically, they're saving every soul on the planet.
Kinda?
It's a very wide stretch
Yeah.
of missionaries for sure.
Mm.
This feels like one of those things where you get away with it the first
Yeah.
time and then there's a law put in. You know what I mean? Like it goes, somebody sues you over it and now
Totally.
there's a law. Like you are the cause of that law. You know what I mean?
The new regulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
So Finn has sort of lured her here, even though Jenna thinks it's totally her idea. That's not how it works in Finn's world, and we're all living in Finn's world. So Jenna's like, I'm here now. And Al gets really pissed off because Finn tells him that he's too much of a loose cannon with all of that rage and the fact that he like was thinking about not putting his soul away. And so now he's on Jenna babysitting duty and they're supposed to look for bells. He doesn't really give any other instructions or reasons. There's no rationale behind it. Finn's not like that, okay? You just take the instructions.
I just need y'all to know real quick that when I was reading this book, Al looks an awful lot like AI in text.
Yeah.
And so as I was reading I kept reading it as AI. And I kept having to be like, fuck, no, his name is Al. No, not AI. So I was like, this timeline has poisoned me.
Yeah.
And I'm over it.
I'm so over it. But also the thing
Absolutely.
about Finn is like, because he's Titan, God tier, whatever, he has precognitive abilities, but they're super not that clear. Cause like the first book, he's like, oh, Kelly has to play a flute, but then
They're
she like
loosey-goosey.
sings, but it's the same melody. So it counts. So now they got to look for a bell cause it's in his vision of how to like banish the new immortal who's the head of Philly. So however they find the bell, obviously it's not going to work out exactly like his vision, which is kind of annoying because you're like, I have this vision, you have to find it. But then half the time it's like kind of, but not really. So he's like hit and miss in a weird way.
Yeah, he sort of knows like the variables he needs to put together, and then it's all guesswork from there.
Totally.
But the most important variables are the human, the key, he calls it, to not executing because they can't die, but evicting.
Yeah.
Banishing the immortal from the world. And then the implement. So last time it was music made from Kelly's brainwaves.
Yep.
And then now it's a bell that allegedly, what's her name?
Jenna.
Oh, Jenna has to ring.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah.
All their eventual mates / wives are the key to like whatever MacGuffin is going to banish the immortal. So,
or they would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Fine, I'm fine. Not bitter.
So some of the other dinosaurs that are important in this book are Utah, Rap, and Tor. They are triplets, and they were Utah Raptors. I don't know if you caught that.
Subtle.
You know,
it's subtle,
in the
though.
really, really tough code. Yeah.
It
But that's
pretty
what was going on.
explicitly stated in both books.
No, I know. I was talking to you. I was talking to listener. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I was having a private conversation with listener.
This was a conversation between you and listener.
Thank you
I'm
so much.
Sorry. Sorry.
I think she must have really loved the Utah
Yeah.
Raptors because Utah's the one for book 3. And then the final book is about Rap, but also his twin brother or the third triplet gets a girl in that too. So like she makes sure that when she finishes the series, all the Raptors are good to go.
I love that.
She loves those Raptors.
Wait.
I love
They're
that.
clearly her favorite 3 people.
The fourth book is
Is Rap.
Yeah,
but
I know. It gets way interesting.
And we're going to get to that right now. So one morning, the Utah Raptors are like, you know what? We're bored. And somebody is like, you should go to the museum and look at like your skeletons all stripped down.
Yeah, that's exciting.
So they have this outing to a museum, all 5 of them. And then afterwards, they're like, oh, there's this, like the best Philly cheesesteak in town is at this restaurant. Let's go there. And when they get there, the 3 Raptor boys are like gung-ho. They're just going to go in there, guns blazing, and get themselves one of these sandwiches. And Al, on the other hand, his spidey senses are tingling. And he's like, something's not right. I'm not going to go in there. And neither is Jenna. But like, I guess if you're really set on this, then like bring us takeout. We're going to sit in the car.
Maybe it's just like don't argue with a pack of Raptors. I don't know. It's not worth it. But they should have listened to him.
Truly.
they do give off gremlin fed after midnight
Yeah, they
vibes
do.
when all 3 of them are
Yeah.
together. And so like I also wouldn't really, you know what I mean? Like you know, live your best. Also like what's gonna happen to them, right?
You'd
like
think.
it's a bunch of dino raptor.
Yeah.
Like and then I did think. I did think
too. Yeah,
and then
because
they walk in
the
there.
only way. So wait. Sorry, listener. The only way that they can be killed is if their head is taken off in human form, and then that body dies, and there's no resurrecting it. They're basically like impenetrable, unstoppable in their dino form. And if they get any other injury, then they can heal themselves. But it's just the decapitation in human form that can fuck them up. And so, Sabrina, please take over.
So they go in there. And by the way, obviously, Al and Jenna have identified each other as sexy people. And they've been making like eyeballs at each other.
Because of course you do.
And he's been, and we didn't tell you this, but like, obviously. And he's like dangerous. And he's got like long hair down to his ass, which is like super fucking hot. And then like they're outside and she ends up falling. And then all of a sudden, while she's gathering up the things that fell out of her purse, they hear screaming.
Because of course.
And Al is at the window, the door's locked. He's banging on the door, like, let me in. And part of the biggest reason is he didn't want to go in there because he can't dino out in there. Because if you don't know about dinosaurs, listener, obviously all three of us are experts.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we've become experts.
But Allosauruses are ginormous. They're like,
they're small T-Rexes, basically.
Yeah.
They're smaller T-Rexes.
But a T-Rex is still huge, so an Allosaurus is still big.
You know?
Yeah, just like 40 feet long. Or maybe, something like that. Yeah, maybe 24 feet long is what they are, I believe.
He's not going to fit in a sandwich shop.
Sure.
Oh, and we didn't even talk about, there was this point where she finds out that he's Dino because weren't they like out and about doing something, and then they were hunting, quote unquote, and so he went off into like the forest
of Philly,
and then to hunt something down.
Yeah, the forest of Philly.
I live in Baltimore and I've been to Philly many a time, and I'm like, doesn't compute.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of trees there, but okay, sure.
It wasn't a forest. It was just like in the neighborhood.
Yeah. It's the city jungle. Okay,
no one's gonna notice this dinosaur by a like skyscraper or even like a row home. It's fine. Blends right into like a townhouse.
Well, it's also like I don't know that the road is big enough for you, but
no.
But it's fine.
I also
it's
living
fine. Everything's fine
in Annapolis. It's all like narrow buggies and like they're not made for cars. They're barely made for dinosaurs. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I love the idea of that. You're right. Houston was a much better dinosaur city.
It is, though.
Truly.
Houston is very
that western spread.
Yeah, it's a very different. I didn't think about it. There's a very different
I'm
terrain in like historic Philly, but it's not like they are subtle either way.
I'm so sorry. I love the idea of like, as somebody from the West Coast being like, oh yeah, Houston, the West. Like, I understand that, yes, it is Western, like it has a Western vibe.
It's a manifest destiny kind of Western.
Yes.
Is what it is.
But anyway, I mean, they're giant dinosaurs. They were never going to stay incognito.
This is
true. And so she gets like, she sat in the car with Jude the vampire, who is an ally we met last book. He's like the king of Texas or something hot. And then she looks out into the distance.
I'm so sorry. That's a bold statement. Did you just say the king of Texas or something?
He's something like that. He's high up in like
hot?
Texas stuff. I don't know. He's also like,
sure, man.
It's not the king of Texas that I'm taking issue with. It's the statement.
It's like the sheriff of your vagina.
Oh my God.
You know? King of Texas, sheriff of your vagina.
I know,
same.
Wow, that's just a bold. As somebody who has spent most of the last decade living catty corner or like right next to Texas, it's just fascinating to be like, oh yeah, that's hot. King of Texas.
Yeah.
Like, that's bananas. Continue.
Okay. So then she looks out into the distance and she sees like a shadow of something too big to be in Philadelphia / now times period. And so she starts freaking out and she hears Jude say, oh, no, he didn't, basically.
Of course.
And then when Jude looks back at her, all of a sudden he's got fangs and like bright red eyes. And so she books it out of that car and like finds a 7-Eleven because there's nothing safer. Yeah. Get yourself a 7-Eleven if you want to be safe. So then she calls her sister, not any emergency authorities.
Like my first would be like, animal control, we got a dinosaur. I don't know. Or like 911. Then they'd be like, what drugs are you on? But that's the instinct.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know that we're equipped.
Well, also, but like Jude vampired out in her face. So like part of this is like she thinks she's seeing things as far as the dinosaur is concerned, but like Jude fully went red eye fangs out vampire and was like, stay in the car. And she was
Yeah.
like, how about I fucking don't, bro?
How about I definitely not? No.
Yeah, that wasn't going to
Which,
convince
like,
anybody.
fair.
Like, animal instinct, run.
Yeah. So instead, she calls her sister, and
course.
Kelly's first words are not shock or whatever. All she says is, no, not again, or something like that.
Oh, my God.
And Jenna's like, I have not been read in. There is something happening that I need to be read in on. Jesus. So yeah, that's how she finds out. And then Finn gives her the download on like, the premise of the book. And then when she's talking to Al to get like the rest of the story, she asks him to prove it to her that he's a dinosaur. And so he goes into their like dino containment room
Special
in this
dino
Yeah, it's
room.
true.
high-rise condo building. It's fine. And Allosaurus is out, and then they go to bed. Goodbye. And now we're back at Philly Town for Philly's cheesesteak. Sabrina, do you want to
Yes.
take over now?
So he does dino out and like rip the front of this building off to get in.
Yeah.
And when they get in, she sees some shadows moving way too fast. And then all of a sudden they're gone. And at the back of the room is two raptors like up against the wall. And then they're like, where's the third one? And it's Rap. And
They look
he's
down. And there's
dead.
just a beheaded blonde boy on the ground. He don't have a head anymore. And so everybody's really upset about it. And then Finn materializes real quick. And Finn is like, okay, I can take his soul and put it like in my piggy bank for a minute. And then we can get him later.
Yeah.
But I don't have enough power to fight all of these immortals and, find Rap a new vessel, essentially. And boy, it's very sweet. Like his soul ends up like chatting with each of them before he gets into that piggy bank. And it's very
And
cute.
Yeah, they
and
pet him.
sad.
Aw. And like they go to like,
Yeah,
this
they
extra
pet his
length
soul.
of just like, hey, we're going to stick him in a vortex in Sedona, Arizona, because that's like apparently where all hippie vortexes are. It's random. Like, so now he's going to say his goodbyes, just kind of chill in the piggy bank in Arizona. And when Finn's ready, he'll just get him a new body to get right in. So,
Which I guess is sooner than I thought it was going to be because he is book 4.
well, it's the last book of the series. She's like, she just really wanted to save her some Rap, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
It was either save
I
him
was
now
under
or
the
never.
impression they would have to defeat all of these
No.
immortals.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No.
So now the rest of the Utah Raptors are out for blood as far as vampires are concerned.
So mostly just Utah
yeah.
and Tor because we got the middle part out.
Yeah. Because it was vampires who killed Rap. So they call a meeting with Jude, the vampire ally. Everybody's at the round table, and Jenna is like gonna witness one of these like meetings for the first time. And she's sitting
Yep.
next to Al, and Kelly and Ty are also there, and then like all the rest of them, right? Man, there's a Leopleurodon in this book that is hilarious to me because
It's a Leopleurodon.
It's the
It
marine one,
happened
right?
again.
Yeah.
It happened in
yeah.
the first book. Okay, these
Charlie the
two
Unicorn.
fools, listener, I'm talking to you directly because these two fools, when the first time we recorded, I read this book and they introduced Leo and it was immediate. Any of you who were big on the things like back in the gap,
which we were not.
Apparently not, because I read this book and we met Leo and I was like, it's a Leopleurodon, Charlie. And like, I was like, immediately I knew what dinosaur that man was. And then like, I made the comment last time Leo came up for the first time and I was like, I made the fucking reference and these two just stared at me.
We did blink at her.
It's true.
Yeah,
For
they
the
were
record,
like,
I didn't need Charlie and the Unicorn to know what a Leopleurodon was. So.
I was not a
that's
huge
fine,
dinosaur
but
person.
the fact that it did, we just had, both of you. I
know.
I was
We're old as
flabbergasted.
fuck or whatever.
It's not even that you're old as fuck. It's just the fact that it was not
but it
immediate.
didn't like ping in my
Like,
brain.
it was a great example of everybody lives a different experience in this world, and it just baffles me sometimes. The things that are like a pivotal reference in my life. You know what I mean? Like, because it was instant. I could not. I heard it in my head, and y'all were just like, "Oh yeah, I guess that was a thing," and I'm like,
Yeah.
What?
I have no idea what you're talking about still. Like, I don't know what the thing is still. Anyway, so we're going to move on because we have to. And they called Jude up with all of his bodyguards, and they're like, a vampire killed one of the 11. And he's like, yeah, I know. Wasn't mine, though. It's like one of the queens. She's the queen of Philly and other states. And she's not as hot as the one in True Blood, but that's okay because she's going to die, I guess. Anyway, that was just a me thing. Sorry. Anytime you say queen of the vampires, that's all I can think is that beautiful room with like all tile and artificial sunlight and like the pools and stuff. And they're playing what's it called? The one where you put the dice in a cup and then you plunk it down.
Craps?
Yahtzee?
Yahtzee. That's the one. Yahtzee. Yeah, she's playing Yahtzee.
I almost said Jenga, but I knew that was wrong. So I did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like, it wasn't one of her people, though. Like, they didn't do it under her direction. So, like, I guess I can set up a meeting, ? And Finn is like, yeah, my representative, Al, is going to go. And then he looks over at the Raptor boys and he's like, you're grounded because you can't keep it together with all your anger over your dead brother. It's relatable, but it's not productive. So you're staying home.
Can't just have two random raptors run around Philly.
Yeah.
Instead, Spin is going.
Yeah, he's a Spinosaurus.
I don't even know. Who gives a shit? Also, big dinosaur. There's
a lot of dinosaurs. If you're not a dinosaur person, listener, you will be doing a lot of Googling.
Look, it's been a long time since I saw Jurassic Park. And then, like, we did the dinosaur unit in first grade. So that was like 1990. So, like, my dinosaur knowledge is basically, you know, anything that was on Power Rangers at this point. And so if it's not a Triceratops or something, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot. You're right. There's a lot of Googling, Sabrina. You're like, what does this look like? It's honestly probably why the three ones she likes the most are the raptors, because we all saw Jurassic Park.
Yes.
Well, it's also like there's 18 different flavors of the same kind of dinosaur. I didn't know there were so many different variations on a T-Rex.
Yeah, me neither, actually, until this.
And raptors, too.
Yeah.
No, I know, but like that vibe of dinosaur where it's like two legs, little arms.
Yeah, I love that little arms.
So like raptor would even fall into that.
Yeah.
And so like I just, and like big teeth. Like, but what the hell is a Spinosaurus? I didn't know that a Quetz existed. What the hell? A Quetzalcoatl? Like, okay.
I don't think that's right. I think might be an Aztec god. I
think you're right, actually.
His name does start with Quet. So I wonder if like whatever his ancestor or his stuff that's in like museums came from some part of Mexico, like a Mexican state. I don't know, but like it starts with Quetz, but I don't think it ends with Waddle. I think it ends with
Quetzalcoatlus.
Okay, well that's yeah, but it must be being named on where it was found originally. That's the only thing I think of.
Oh, yeah, smart. Yeah.
Anyway, she dug a lot and found a bunch of species I'd never heard of. So good job, Nina Banks, real name of the author. So you do spend a lot of time Googling what do these guys look like.
Yeah. Well, and Jenna in this book decides to bone up on her dinosaurs because she's going to bone down with a dinosaur later.
Oh, yeah.
And so she figures out that, like, Finn says that he took all of their souls at the extinction event 65 million years ago. But she's like, Allosaurus disappeared 145 million years ago. So explain that, Finn. And I guess there's an explanation that went way over my head, but I also don't care. So it's all fine.
I don't think Finn cares to explain himself very much. So he just is like, because I said so, essentially, is most of Finn's reasoning at all.
Yeah.
Which, like, what a convenient thing for an author, right?
Yeah, right?
You can drop things in there and be like, we have this one overarching person who knows everything. Me. It's me. And also Finn.
But he's not going to say Jack.
And I'm going to tell you what I want to tell you. And when you have questions, I'm just going to be like, sorry, babe.
New topic. I'm bored.
Yeah, that will not change through the rest of the series. It'll be like, I want to know things from Finn. Now, not important right now. Like, Finn is just gonna, like, and then obviously by being the author's voice, be like, nah, we'll tell you when we feel like it. And that's just the reasoning. And I mean, in canon, essentially in the plot line, he's God tier, so you're not going to argue with him, and he's literally going to cloud your mind so you physically can't. So you can just drop stuff whenever he feels like it, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, because we figured out last book that he has taken some of the memories away from the 11.
He does.
So all they remember is being dinosaurs, but they were definitely other things beforehand.
Oh boy, were they.
That they don't remember. Oh my God, I can't wait. I cannot wait to find
I
out.
know.
Oh my God,
Okay.
I can't wait.
So they go to the Vampire Queen's court, and we meet Vampire Santa Claus, and he's very important to me. He's not terribly important to the actual book, but he's very important to me. And he's just an old Santa man.
And he's the queen's husband, her consort.
Good dad, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Loves Leah.
Actually, never mind. We can't get into the timeline. There's not enough time. Continue.
Nope.
I had so many questions.
So they show up and like they can smell all this blood and like burning flesh. And he looks around and he can hear Jenna's heartbeat like speeding up really fast. And he's like, who's scaring my woman? And then he looks over and there's a really terribly tortured vampire up on like a stage. And the queen is like, hey, this is the guy who did the thing because Steak, who is number 8. Number 8 is going by the name Steak.
Oh, creative.
And he says it's because he likes to remind himself that he has a stake in the Immortals' success. Like he needs all of his workers to succeed or whatever. It's so dumb.
He also, listener, I need you to understand, we have had a scene with this man in his head, and he is a fucking psychopath. Like, well beyond even 9, I would say. Yeah. Like, his favorite thing, because these immortals can't touch humans directly.
Because rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's universe rules. It's fine. And they have to use other supernatural beings in order to do the stuff.
Do the actual killing of humans.
I mean, to be fair, it's kind of like thinking about like a chessboard. And so any random vampire demon becomes like their pawn to like get at humans.
Right, right. And so a lot of what we see from Steak's point of view is just like recruitment meetings.
Kind of.
And the same was true for 9 in the first book.
It's kind of like an MLM where you end the world.
Yeah.
He's also just the weirdest, creepiest little artist. He likes to sit there and listen to his iPod. I like to think that he's listening to like One Direction or something like that.
He told us that he listens to ocean sounds because he's obsessed with the ocean.
Oh. So he was ASMR noises before it was cool.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I don't care about that. Apparently, I just rewrote it in my head.
I like it. And so in that scene, we see him be like, I'm going to keep an eye on my workers and like really look for the creative ones. The ones that like aren't just, slashing and biting and like being boring, but like really taking killing to like an art form. And then he meets an unseelie prince, a dark fae. And this fae takes one human and dismembers him down to his, basic parts, and then creates a new. It's like a deer.
The fae had fashioned out of the 2 lower legs and 2 thighs, and added the 4 legs of the new animal the fae had created. He'd formed an utterly unique creature. A man deer.
Oh, no.
Steak dropped his pad and pencil onto the table and then pointed at the fae. Bravo! He'd fuck this superb creature later. Male or female had no meaning for him. It was only the sexual experience that mattered. The fae saluted him with a bloody hand. And I was like, I'm into it. I can't deny. Like, I love that this dude is like, I am evil. I am evil bisexual incarnate. And it's not even bisexual. It's just completely pansexual. I don't care.
He's an immortal. I mean, don't limit yourself, man. You got like literally eternity.
Oh, this is such a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like this is such a great example. At some point, you get so old that like it just stops mattering.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that. Love this evil bisexual fucking lunatic.
So anyway, they get all of this information from the queen vampire, and then she's like, and now you need to tell your boss to woo me because I'm going to go to the side that is like, values me the most.
Bribe me harder.
And Finn's like, she can get a cunt punch is what she can get.
Yeah.
And then she tells her guys to kill all of them. And so Spinosaurus is out and murders that queen and a bunch of other vampires. And now it's, and he saves Jenna. His priority is getting Jenna away from the mayhem. And it's very sweet and cute.
They were
Now what happens,
very
Sabrina?
cute in this book. I just really this is such a good example of a super masculine macho man series, like MF series,
Yeah.
where like I love all these macho men that I've met. They're delightful. Like they're just so fun. And they're like, I don't know, it's just not the same flavor of alpha male that we usually saw.
I think it's twofold because like they're literally like different. Like they're literally so like some of the stuff where they don't at the beginning when they interact with women don't understand boundaries as much. You're like, okay, you're a dinosaur. You've been in hibernation for 65 million years. You have bloodlust. You have some reason to like learn, but then they actually do. You know what I mean? Like they get to like value the women and like want to protect them, and like some of them will get like because there's a lot of friction. I think even in the first book with tying Kelly because he knows she's key to the plan, but towards the middle of the book he's like, I don't want you to do this and be the one to play the song on your flute because I'm worried for you. So there's like this mix of like I want to protect you, but I know you're important, so I'm also not trying to like overshadow you or bench you, or if I'm trying to bench you for your safety, I do feel a little bad about it, which weirdly enough you don't see in a lot of alpha males, and like especially contemporaries. You're like, I'm the billionaire, fuck you, I'm gonna do what you want, you're gonna listen to me. It's weird that these guys who are like literally would have a reason to be more brutal because they're part dinosaur essentially are like, actually I learned how emotions work, I learned how valuing my partner works, and I want to protect you, but I want you to have autonomy. It's pretty good as far as like the consent and stuff.
And like Al's emotional journey throughout this book is identifying her as a sexy woman and being like, want to fuck, want to mate.
Yeah, because dinosaur.
But there's like, it says at one point, like, yeah, he really wanted to fuck her and that was it. But in the back of his mind, he knew that didn't feel quite right. And then later on, it'll be like he wanted to see Jenna so that he could, see her smile and talk to her, which is very
to know everything
weird
about her.
Yeah. In fact, in his declaration speech at the end, he talks about having to identify his human emotions and learn about them since he met her, essentially.
I think that's a really good idea of the plot and the way each of these is structured is like each guy is going to go on a journey. Rap's going to be a little different, but it's going to be on a journey to like understand their own human emotions, like cop to them and grow with them. And I feel like a lot of books, the alpha males, especially when it's not in a paranormal world, or sort of like, I don't have emotions, blah, 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 or I'm in charge. And like, they don't want to do like the journey to grow. But since they're supposed to be
the work,
dinosaurs learning to be more human, like they have to go on that journey. And it's actually a lot more appealing because they're doing the work. They're doing the work. The dinosaurs can do it. You guys don't have any excuses anymore, other MF guys.
Yeah, you can communicate in more than grunts. Thank you so much.
So we end up meeting Finn's mysterious brother, and his name's Sear. We met him in the last book. I have a lot of questions.
I will answer them for you later, I promise.
Okay.
He's hot AF.
Yeah, he is. They're all hot. They're like, even Finn and
he's
like
very
Zero,
mercenary.
they're very like beautiful and like long flowy hair and dramatic and like these eyes that change colors.
No, but he's hot like in one of those dangerous, like you have no idea who he's loyal to at any given moment because he's only loyal to himself and he won't tell anybody like what his wants and needs are ever. And especially since in this book we meet him in like a park and Jenna can tell that he's lonely.
Aww.
And he just like wants some companionship. Like, Sear, let a bitch know.
Nina Bangs, if you're listening, I just need you to know I will read them. If you write more books in this universe, in this world, I will read them.
And I would kill for a Sear book because he's interesting, and then you find out what he is, and like also he sometimes controls demons. I don't know if we've gotten to the part where he can summon some of those yet, but like he's an interesting dude.
Well, and it says that like he didn't think that anybody recognized him because he had changed himself completely. And so in this form, he presents as a demon.
Yeah.
Which is what made me, because we found out that Sear is Finn's brother in the last book, and that made me think like maybe that's why Finn would be Lucifer.
By the way, I just need you to know, listener, that we found out a lot about Sear specifically in the end when he took over Ty's brain and almost fucked his wife.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
I just need you to know that little tidbit because it was bananas.
It was bananas. But instead of fucking her, he just showed Ty what foreplay is.
Yeah, he coached him.
And I think that's going to help their relationship in the long run.
Yeah, so seriously give her when the mood strikes in a lot of ways, honestly. So.
So then we do get our first kiss. It's when like they kiss in the hallway and he's like, you need to go back to Houston. It's dangerous for you here. And she's
I
like,
want you too much. My soul wants to come out to play when you're around. And that would make for a really uncomfortable threesome, he says.
That was fucking funny.
As I was reading these books, I was talking to my friends about it on Discord, and one of them was like, because, it's like 2025, and like monster fucking's more a thing. And she keeps going, are they going to like have sex? Because the last one's raptor, he's a raptor. So he's like, not, building huge.
Yeah, not.
More art. It's a weird sentence, but the raptor is more our size.
Manageable.
You could figure it out if they didn't have cloacas and actually had penises, but that's another story.
Right.
But she's like, is there a monster? I'm like, no, they're just never gonna. None of them ever have like sex with their mates as like dinosaurs. I just think it was like a different time in like the mid 20 aughts where people weren't going to do that, and because these were the first three are traditionally published by like a small like imprint, but like something like Berkeley or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, but like I kept getting the questions. I was talking to my friends. They're like, well, when's the actual dinosaur sex gonna happen? I'm like, not yet, but me and Banks are open if like you make some more and there's actual dino gangbang. We're here for it.
But I will say that like one thing I think is really interesting about this series and the way that she set it up is that since it's all MF and like, there's there are big ideas about like dominance and who does the penetrating and all that kind of stuff, right? True. But in order to get married essentially and become immortal, the woman has to walk into the dinosaur and like experience everything that they've experienced and like get to the human kernel of a soul that's inside. And so the women penetrate them in an even more meaningful
like literally
way,
walking
which
through
I think
like
is really
the shell of their dinosaur soul, but like metaphorically, it's like every time they do the mating thing, it's like a vision quest, and they like have to see see parts of the past that the dinosaurs themselves don't know about yet. Like, because it's very clear in the first book that Kelly sees like what Ty originally started as, and she doesn't even want to tell him because it's so sad. So like, you're right. There is that thing where they're penetrating them to get to like the heart of who they are and know more about them than they, for right now, are allowed to know about themselves. So that is a really interesting dynamic.
More than they remember about themselves. And Kelly made the concerted choice last book to not tell him that he was anything other than a dinosaur.
I think it's just too painful
because she didn't want him to be saddled with that information.
Well, because we found out that Finn is purposefully keeping this information from them because they probably they won't be able to handle it. It's bad.
It would
like
tear
whatever
them
was
apart.
whatever was before dinosaur is bad, and I think that we're about to find out what was before dinosaur. So anyway, we have their first kiss. It's great. Then they're in the park, and
Zero's in town.
Zero pops up. He takes all the lights out.
Of course he does.
And then they get back into the condo super building. And then
because it's a building that Finn has like warded against Zero, and so everything happened outside of the building, but his building is still fine. Yeah.
And then they've been told while they were in the park from Seer that there is a mole in the organization, but we don't know who it is. And almost immediately we find out who it is.
Let's not wait for tension.
I have a question, though. There was one tidbit. It was sort of a throwaway line in this park scene with Seer, but I need to get your thoughts on it because she thinks to herself, how is he lonely? If he went to a club, every woman would put her keys down next to his drink as like a sign of going home.
Is it like
with
a
him.
key party idea? Because like I know the idea of like swingers switching keys like a party, but like I've never gone to a bar and been like, "Here's my house keys, come home with me."
I took it as like hotel park.
Oh, maybe.
Like your hotel key card.
Yeah, that I can understand a little. It's just okay.
Yeah, if she had said hotel bar, I think that would have been better. But I was like, have you ever gone up to a person you were sexually interested in and just like plopped your keys ka-chonk down next to their drink?
Well, my keys are kept on a lanyard with my wallet, so hell no. I'm like, you're not getting my credit card and my medical insurance card or my driver's license too. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a different time.
Yeah.
Y'all weren't doing that in 2009.
I can't wait for you to come find my apartment and serial murder me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It
yeah,
was
you weren't-
hilarious.
You weren't doing
It was a
that?
big record scratch moment for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we find out there's a mole, and one of the things that they have to do in conjunction with like looking for a bell, any kind of bell, could be a carol bell, could be a cowbell. Really wanted it to be a cowbell.
Well, Jesus Christ, you're in Philly, so let's think real hard about that
yeah,
one.
and what the fuck was this red herring? Her editor sends her a lead on a story about aliens coming down to steal the Liberty Bell. And I was like, what is this fucking red herring, Nina Bangs?
know.
It never comes back. It's not a thing. It's not the Liberty Bell in the end.
Yeah,
And
no, I'm
like,
sure that's
how
what they
dare
wanted.
you?
I mean, I'm sure she thought people would think that, but since, again, all of his visions are like kind of there, but not completely, I was like, the Liberty Bell's too obvious, so like,
It was
obviously they're
so
not going to go
pushy
there.
About the
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, there are obviously other bells besides the big famous one in Philly. It's going to be, there's tons of churches and like other shit, something somewhere. Don't worry about it.
Right.
But like, yeah, no.
Right.
Nina Bangs will continue to also do this as an author, and I love her, but like, she'll definitely do like, if not telegraphing, then trying to red herring so hard, you're like, well, this can't possibly be it. And then when it's like the
Totally.
twist is revealed, you're like, yeah, no, I knew whatever you're pushing my way wasn't gonna be it. So you just have like this lag where it finally catches up with
red
you.
herring
Yeah.
so hard that I went down the right
Yeah,
path,
you red herring
know?
too close to the sun, and then we all knew.
I love it.
So there's also this scene where, because the vampire queen is eaten, her human daughter decided that she's gonna be the new vampire queen because
Leah, right?
she wants to, yes, and she wants to bring peace into this vampire universe. And so she has to fight Jude essentially for their
For
like,
dominance. Yeah.
yeah.
For her place as like the queen or leader of 10 states or something like that.
Mid-Atlantic
And
But it's going to be a
seaboard.
play fight because Jude doesn't want the 10 states, so he really needs somebody to defeat him. And he doesn't know that she's a human. Everybody assumes she's a vampire, but she is in fact a human. So then he has to like, you know, fight really slow at some points to make it look like she's beating him. But they bring Al and Jenna because Jude thinks Al needs to be there because at the end of the fight, the victor can choose to either like do a ceremonial like slash or just take the head of the opponent. And so Jude's like, I'm going to need you to make sure I don't die. Thank you so
That seems
much.
fair. I mean, you want
Yeah.
to work for
And
Finn,
then
you want to help
Jenna-
stuff, you don't want to lose your head. That's it's
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah. I'm useful to you.
Yeah.
You know? And then Jenna's like, but why am I here? And he's like, well, you know, I thought maybe you could, like, it would be cool for her to have a human, like, rooting for her or whatever. Didn't make it a lick of sense,
Yeah, I know.
but that's fine. I loved it. So they get to the end, and Jenna realizes that there's no murder in Leah's eyes. It's all
She's just
victory.
excited.
Yeah,
Because no one takes her seriously, so she wants to have that authority, and this will help her. So
right. Yeah. And so she, I guess, like throws her arms up in victory, but Al immediately clocks it as a move.
Well,
You know,
yeah,
it's-
because he's only been a human for 3 months.
Sure.
the intricacies of sword fighting are beyond him.
Well, and also just like human joy at like, yay, I did the thing. Like
Yeah.
he, as far as he's concerned, his Allosaurus is like, my
She's winding
life
up.
exists of eat, fuck, kill.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. There's no
Yeah.
happiness. It's just eat, fucking kill.
Well, it definitely
And so
doesn't
clearly she's
understand
about
like
to kill.
essentially the end zone victory dance Leah's doing. So
Right. Yes. And so
Fortnite
he
dance.
Allosaurus is out. And she's like, no, she's fine. She's not trying to kill him. It's okay. All the vampires scramble.
Because of course they
and
would.
then obviously,
Yeah.
but they do it quietly. All right. They do it in a dignified manner.
course.
Everybody. They're not screaming like humans.
Mhm.
And then Al like sees that Leah gets like, you know, dragged away to hide. And so he goes back to his human form, but then there's a big kerfuffle outside where all the vampires fled to, and it's because Utah and Tor are there in their raptor forms and they're about to throw down in revenge with all of these vampires. And so he's like, I got to get them with my soul body. And she's like, or you could talk to them. Like, why not try that first? So he does.
Yes. So they have this whole scene where they're driving back with Utah and Tor that hit me like right in the soft parts, because
Okay.
Utah and Tor are fucked in the head over the fact that their packmate and brother is gone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously. And they're in the car, and at one point this did have me cackling, but also soft parts, because they're driving and she turns around and she looks at Utah, and Utah and Tor have gone two completely separate ways as far as grieving is concerned. But she turns around and she starts to try and like be sweet to him, and he's like, or you can shut the fuck up because you don't know what you're talking about. And Al straight up hits the brakes in the middle of the road,
do
and
that.
he
You're in
gets
the highway.
out of the car and he's like, get out of the fucking car. You
Yeah.
don't talk to this woman that way. And Utah's
like, my pleasure. I'm going to fuck off right now and go storming away.
well, and so like, and then Tor goes after him, and she gets out of the car and she's like, look, one of your griefs is that you're missing your pack. So like, if anyone's going to understand, it's you. And so he's like, fuck, you're right. God damn, these human emotions, all of this
They're
sucks.
so
Everything
pesky.
is terrible. And he's like, look, Utah, okay, we'll have feelings. I thought you said that I was part of pack now. And like,
Are you going to abandon me when you said I was pack? Is
and
that what
Utah's
you're going
like,
to do to me?
Utah's like, no, I'm not. I don't want to. And then I was like, also, just remember, if you go off and dinosaur out and be a little shit, then Finn's gonna ground you too. And Utah's like, you're right. I don't want to be in timeout. And
Yeah.
so he and Tor end up coming back, but it was also very touching. But it did also just make me cackle at the just full hard stop and him being like, you get out of the car.
Nobody talks to her like that.
It was just
Ultimate
really
protect mode.
delightful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you feel like you're safe if you have like a Rottweiler or a Doberman Pinscher. No, these ladies have their own dinosaurs to like fight their battles for them. Or like be chivalry.
Yeah.
Dino chivalry.
and
What a
to
dream.
bone down with.
Oh, yeah,
which I
totally.
feel like is where we are. Yeah.
Yes, we are, because
So they
lots
go
of
back to the
questions.
condo, and he it's the middle of the night ? So he goes to her door and he's like, my soul wants you so badly and I don't want to hold back anymore. And so like, do you consent to some real primal
Dino
sex
yeah.
times? And she's like, yes, I do. But then in the middle of it, it's very cute because like he's all over her and he's silent. And she's like, all right, we're going to school this dinosaur on how mating works in the 21st
When you
century.
can use words because you're a human and you have words, not just grunts.
Yeah. Right. And she's like, not only do I talk during sex, but like, this is an equal thing now. I want to touch and pleasure you just as much as you touch and pleasure me. And so he gets his first beach of his whole life. He obviously sees stars. And then he's so strong, and she's so tiny that he just picks her up and puts her on his dick.
Again, a move that Nina Bangs loves because Rap will do that in the final book with his
Nice.
lady. I don't remember if Leah and Utah do it
Nice.
in theirs, but I'm sure they do in book 3.
It's Leah and Utah?
Mm-hmm. Book 3 is
That
Leah
makes
and
me
Utah.
so happy.
I mean, I will say that.
Wait, Leah, like vampire daughter?
Yeah. She's the third one. She's the one with
Hell
Utah in
yeah.
book 3 in Portland. Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's so exciting.
Like, I will
Okay.
say that the way the books are structured emotionally, that Bangs does a good job because, like, what happens to Rap will continue to have a lot of weight and narrative thrust for the characters going forward because it will focus. Next book will be Utah, and the final book will be mostly Rap. I'll explain how later. But, like, so
And
it's
a
not
little
just
bit
like,
Tor.
a little bit of Tor. Oh, he dies, so we'll never talk about it again. The next book is so much about Utah's grief and like struggles that like it's not something that's like, oh, we did it for like a cheap effect, but we won't mention all that much. So we'll go on to like a different dinosaur over here with like Leo or whatever. No, she follows that path very accurately, and like that death like has consequences, which I kind of appreciate because sometimes in books, but especially in like paranormal shows, all of a sudden death becomes a revolving door. I'm looking at you, Supernatural. I get it, you're on 15 years, but this one has so much weight. Even though eventually Rap comes back, it's just a lot of Utah dealing with his grief and then Rap dealing with like being back yet again and his soul pulled again into like where he is now. So like when she made that choice, she stuck with it and stuck with like the emotional continuity. So that was a pretty good idea.
That's awesome. Yay.
Oh, I love that.
I was wondering why we spent so much time with Leah, and now I know.
That's why they're teeing up the next heroine. So
love it. So yeah, they have this sex, and it's great because she's like, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk, and you feel free to talk as well. And like, she really takes charge in this sex scene, and then allows him to like, go feral with her. And I loved it. I loved it.
There was also this quote from the scene before they have sex, and so one of the things that he's struggling with human emotion, period.
Yeah.
But she's struggling with like, I'm into this guy, but I'm also terrified of his soul. And so she's coming to terms with the fact that like she's afraid, and it's an instinctual reaction to a gigantic predator, but she's also in love with him. And at one point he looks at her and he says, I saw your expression when you looked at me tonight. Do I scare you, Jenna? And she says, you scare the hell out of me. I looked into your eyes while Spen was tearing through the vampires, and I saw your soul. That would be scary for any human, but that doesn't mean I don't trust you to keep me safe. And then later she says to him, when I look into your eyes, I think of the scene where the power fails in Jurassic Park and everyone's stuck in the tour cars. It's dark and suddenly you feel the ground shaking as though someone massive is moving through the trees. We all know the T-Rex is coming nearer, and then we wait for it, and then all at once it's there. And she's like anxious and explaining her fear, and then it's super cute because he like looks over to her with this side eye and then just like slinks down against the wall.
He tries to make himself smaller.
She's like, making yourself smaller doesn't help. But then the honesty between them was really nice, where it's not her like, and then she still has sex with him this night. And this is where the logistics question comes in, because at the top of this building, apparently it's 4 glass walls and a glass ceiling, and the entire floor is mattress. And they get up there, and apparently this is Finn's special stargazing place. And they're like, you know what we're going to do?
We're going to sully these sheets.
We're going to have hot, dirty sex all over these gotta be custom made sheets because the entire floor's mattress.
Yeah, I know.
What is this room?
And I'm sure they're nice
Maybe
sheets.
they
I'm
brought
sure
a
they're not
picnic
just
blanket.
cotton. I'm sure they're like a 1,000,000 count thread. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, yeah,
of
because
course.
like Finn's not going to accept any less than
No,
like 1,000.
Finn's got like Ming Dynasty vases, like he
Yeah.
it's serious over there in Finn's
I
land.
mean, like, why
my
be an
God,
immortal
it's-
if you're, or whatever he is, if you're not going to have like caviar taste? Like, that's also just a waste.
But just think about it, Sabrina, you have so much more real estate other than the sweat pool, Like, it's not like a normal bed. They've got so much other space to go.
They can they can just
instead
be
of the
like,
sweat mark.
nobody has to sleep in the wet spot.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they put cones up, air it out a bit.
Warn each other.
Let them.
Can you
people-
imagine you walk into that room and the cones are up and you're like, I don't actually
God,
want them to
Nah,
get
it's
it
already
in.
been used. We need
No.
like a sign up sheet. We need like a Google Calendar so we know when not to have
Yes.
wet spot.
Oh my God. And now I'm just imagining you walk in one day and there's just like 5 or 6 coned off sections and you're like, man, didn't we have the cleaners in yesterday?
God, those
Like,
cleaners are just like
Shouldn't we-
annoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't get paid enough.
No one
I don't
gets
know
paid
what
enough
they're
for
getting
dinosaur
paid, but it's
splooge.
not. Yeah,
At the
that's why there's 6
wet
cones.
spot. Fuck
Yeah.
that. No.
It's not my contract. I clean up substances, not dino sperm. Like,
That's right. That's right. That's where we're going to stop for today. Tomorrow we'll be back with bells on, just like Jenna, to see how these two save the world and solidify their relationship. Heaving Bosoms is produced by us, Melody Carlisle and Sabrina Bradley. Editing is done by me, Melody Carlisle. Our theme music is by the incredible singer-songwriter Brittany Fonts, and our art is by the ultra-talented author Kate Pryor. If you like our show, remember to follow us on your favorite podcast app, rate us 5 stars, and leave a review. That one small action is a huge way to help the show. If you want to get in touch with us for advertising inquiries or anything else, you can email us at heavingbosomespodcast@gmail.com. If you want more of us, visit patreon.com/heavingbosomspodcast. You can also find us on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, on TikTok at Heaving_Bosoms, and in our Facebook group, the Heaving Bosoms Geriatric Friendship Cult. See you tomorrow.